this section is section 3, called Get a Prospect. See, nothing happens if you don't have a prospect. If you don't have someone that you're speaking to about this business, you're never gonna make any money. So you've gotta understand, you've gotta become the master at getting prospects. And what I'm gonna do today is give you some techniques, some basic techniques on how to get prospects so you can always have a funnel of prospects, of people to talk to about your business. So the first thing I want you to do is, one of the first techniques that you gotta do, it's a very simple one, you may have heard it before, is get yourself a notebook and write down every single person that you know. Now, I didn't say call them, did I? No, don't call them yet. Write down everyone you know. Write down their name and their phone number. Now, it's not because you're gonna call each one of them. It's because you wanna get them and you wanna get a plethora of prospects. In other words, you wanna shoot for about 200. Shoot for 200 people. Now, I know some people are saying, well, I don't know anybody. Yes, you do. You know plenty of people that know how to build this business, or that have an interest in this business, or may not have any interest at all. But you know a lot of people. And so what you want to do is get out your personal phone book. Or, nowadays we don't have phone books, we have cell phones. So grab your cell phone, start with A and go to Z and write them down, name and phone number. Put them on a sheet. Or nowadays you can probably hook it right up to your computer and just print it out. Have that list and put it in a book. Get yourself a 3-ring binder and put those names in a book so you can have them when it's time to call. The second thing that you want to do is get out your business cards. Now, some people have a lot of business cards. I know me, I have a whole box of business cards of people I've met over the years, and you may also. So I would grab every one of those business cards and again, put them down. Write their name and their phone number because you want to have them on a list. Or if you have some type of scanner, maybe scan them in and create a database for them. But you got to get your prospects. You got to get the people that may have an interest in your business. Now, the one thing I do want to tell you about that is you don't want to prejudge. You don't want to say, oh, that person may not have any interest, because you don't know who would have an interest. As a matter of fact, think about this. What if the person who invited you to your business prejudged you? You wouldn't have the opportunity that you have right now. So you never want to prejudge because you don't know where they are in life. So that's the first 2 steps I want you to do is get yourself a book, and I also want you to write them down. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to teach you a mindset that you have to have about those prospects. Because when you're talking to these people, they fall into different categories. Now, I like to call these categories apples. I put them in the categories of apples. Now, there's 4 different categories. The first one is called red apples. Now, red apples are the people that are excited. They're motivated. They're inspired. They're looking for an opportunity. You ask them, would you like to go to the movie? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. What are we going to go see? Or would you like to go out to dinner? Absolutely. I'd love to go out to dinner. What would you like to go eat? They don't care. No matter what you offer them, they say yes. Those, yes people that are just down for anything. Those are called yes people. Those are called red apples. It's so important to understand that red apples are who you're looking for. There are about 80 to 90% of the people that you speak to that you're looking for. I'm sorry, they're not 80 to 90% of the people. That's who you're looking for. You want to spend 80 to 90% of your time with red apples. The next one are called green apples. Green apples are people that they're kind of, yes, they may answer, yes, I'm open, but tell me a little bit more about it. Or you ask them to come to a business opportunity, they ask you a bunch of questions. Or that you may invite them, they may even show up, and sometimes they may even not show up. You may have to invite them 2 or 3 times, and then they eventually show up. You know who I'm talking about. You may have been one yourself. I know for me, the first time my friend invited me to a meeting, I flaked on it 3 or 4 times, but then I eventually showed up. I was a green apple at first. I became a red apple. So the first thing you want to do is you got to understand that you have red apples and you have green apples. Now, green apples, you don't want to spend any more than 10 to 20% of your time with those people. No more than that, because a lot of the time they become time wasters. And I'll teach you some things later that you can do to turn green apples red. It's very, very difficult to do, but it's a way to do it, and I'll show you that later. The third group are called brown apples. Now, brown apples, they're negative. They have a bad attitude. They're like, network marketing, that stuff doesn't work. You can't make any money in that business. Matter of fact, I saw this article on the web, network marketing never works. You never make any money. This is what you do with those people. Nothing. You leave them alone. You say, oh, really? And you walk away and you go do what you're going to do. The funny thing about brown apples, a lot of the time, they're the good people that's closest to you, like family members and friends. So you want to leave brown apples alone. You want to go spend your time with red and green apples. But there is one more group. They're called rotten apples. Now, rotten apples are the ones that are so negative, they try to pull you out of the deal. They're like, man, you're stupid. You need to get your money back. As a matter of fact, look at this article, and they try to convince you that you shouldn't even be in the business. Those are called dream stealers. they suck the life out of you. As a matter of fact, what I'd recommend you to do when you run into one of them is run. Run as fast as you can and stay as far away from them as possible, of course, unless you're married to them. Just kidding. But the most important thing is you got to understand, you can't turn a brown apple red or a rotten apple red. Have you ever gone to a grocery store and you're sitting there looking at the red apples? You're like, you know what, I'm sorry, looking at the brown apples. And you're like, come on, please turn red, please turn red. You can't do that. You can't turn a red apple red by begging it or by forcing it to. But there is a way to do it, and we'll teach you that in another section. But it's so important. You being brand new in this business, you want to spend your time with red apples and green apples. You want to spend 80 to 90% of your time talking to people that are open. You want to spend 5 to 10%, maybe even 20 at the most, with green apples, people that will listen and then it may come around to the opportunity.